Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I'm Mariam. I am a full-time scientist and a part-time artist. And today I just thought sit down and have a cozy, casual chat with you all. I've already filmed this video twice, but I couldn't quite get the right mood or the right words out of my mouth. So I already made a little polymer clay cat, but I still thought I would film it one more time just because I want to get the right words out of my mouth, and I didn't feel like I could do so whilst I was making things. I guess I'll just sit and talk to you about the time where I was able to and did embark on my dream job, but failed at doing it. So growing up, I definitely did not know what my dream job would be. I didn't dream of having a dream job. I never really thought about it, honestly. We're always encouraged at school to think about it. Like, do you want to be a firefighter? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a teacher? And I think just because I really had to think about it at the time and do some work experience as well for university, I chose to be a teacher, and I did the work experience and it went well. I wouldn't say it was a dream or anything, but it was very fun. However, there is something that popped up and that I realised very later on in life, was that I really wanted to be an artist. So art had always really been a massive part of my life ever since I was a kid. I had been a child that had been, bullied and overlooked and left to their own devices a lot of the time. And I took this situation and I turned it into loads and loads of worlds that I would just draw and get lost inside of. And when I say loads, I mean for example, I could think of 2 examples where I spent a whole summer filling an A5 book full of monsters that I made up and drew, and each one of them had a name and a specific skill that they were able to do. And then another winter break, I spent that one gluing together loads of A4 sheets of paper, about 8 or 10 of them, and they became a massive map of a town that I'd completely just made up. And it was a town that had lots of housing, it had a mayor, and the thing that I remember most distinctly about that town was that I put the hospital right next to the elderly home, which was also right next to the cemetery, which I felt at the time was just me being very efficient and trying to get people from A to B to C as quickly as possible, because this was an efficient town. It wasn't just ran by any person, it was ran by me. I realise now that that wasn't the best way to go about building a town, but that's fine because I don't build towns anymore. I am a scientist. So I grew up a little bit more and I went to secondary school, which is high school in the UK, and I realised very quickly that the very same thing is going to happen. I did not socialise too well and I was just shy, and so I created little comic books full of adventures of me and my friends just doing all sorts of random stuff. One of my favourite ones was the time where we took a book out from the library, and in this book there was a treasure map, and the treasure map led to an X marks a spot in the school. However, we couldn't do that during the day. We had to obviously go and look for the treasure during the night, and specifically midnight. So in this story, we all break into the school at midnight and dig out a treasure, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the treasure was, but I think it was probably just a time capsule of the previous students that that went to this school. And so I would create these little comics, and my school picked up on it and they wanted me to make it for the school newsletter, which is what I did. So every week I would make a new comic and it would end on a cliffhanger so that people would come back and like read the next week's as well. And honestly, I have a lot of respect for the people who managed to actually understand what was happening inside of the comic, because honestly, these comics were drawn like a chicken had just ran through some ink and then spread it on a page. It was chicken scratch. I did not understand it myself. It was all drawn in pencil and then photocopied a billion times. So anything that was an outline really just became a faint feather of an idea later on. However, I got people coming up to me and asking me what was going to happen the week after. And so I was on a high. I was 13 or 14, and this was me living out the dream. Like, people were coming to me for my art. I was telling the stories that I really wanted to tell through my art. And so I continued with this for about a year or two. And then life got very serious. I got older. I went through years 10 to 13, which are essentially just the 4 years before university, or I think maybe college in America. I'm not sure how that works, but university is the highest form of education in the UK. And I lost time for doing art. I did do art A-level, don't get me wrong, but I was pursuing a more science-based career because I loved science and I loved understanding how the world worked, and I especially loved neuroscience, which for me was a whole world of exploration to be had. And so I really wanted to go to this university, which was one of the best in the world for neuroscience research, is ranked one of the top 10 in the world generally. And so I spent all my time studying, and I get to this university and I'm enjoying it. I'm doing biomed, and then I'm also doing cell biology at some point. But then I realized very quickly that I'm at this top university and I didn't go to a great school. I wasn't necessarily brilliant in any way. I just enjoyed being academic and learning and, working hard. And I realized I was completely unprepared for this. So this realization that I was in a room with 300 other kids that were the brightest in the world, and suddenly, I just felt like nothing, I think. And I think I wasn't able to really process this very well. And so I struggled with the first couple of years of university, and probably my entire degree, because it was a degree that was very difficult for me to deal with the pressure of. But also, did I want to be doing this degree anymore? I'd burnt myself out by second year, and I just continued and continued and continued. And that's never a good thing to do. You should always really just, listen to your gut. But I continued, and I found myself in a slump one summer. My mental health was probably one of its lowest times. And I just got up one morning. I picked up a pen, was beside my bed, and I picked up a scrap piece of paper that was just literally torn and on the floor, and I picked it up and I drew how I felt for the first time in years. And I took this drawing and I remember posting it on my private Facebook account, which I didn't do at the time. I hadn't really done it before, and I don't know why I did it. I just felt like I wanted to convey that I was miserable to people, which was what I was used to doing as a child and growing up as a teen. I didn't expect anyone to see it. And so I left my computer. I went to go and, do life and eat and things. And I came back and someone had shared it. One of my friends who I'd met at university, quite a big following on Facebook, and she shared it. And it was reshared so many times that the piece went viral. Not that evening, but over the next couple of weeks and that month, the piece went viral. I was contacted by media outlets and people who wanted to understand more about the post, and it was about essentially mental health and how it matters to the community. I was contacted by agents and told that I could do things like make books, which was probably a dream of mine. I didn't realize it was a dream job, but it was definitely a dream to make books and to illustrate them. And all I had to do was to put ideas onto paper, which is what I did, and it was considered. And I started a social media channel and I started to post every week, and I enjoyed it so much. It grew, and I was happy because, not fully happy because I hadn't really dealt with the underlying problems that I was going through, but I found something and somewhere that I could involve myself in a job way to sort of spread my message as well. That satisfied me as a person, as, you know, just someone who really had something to say but was never really loud enough to say it. And so I was offered this opportunity to be a professional illustrator and to continue with it, and I did, and I took it. But then suddenly things went on a downward spiral. I had started a PhD, which was great, which is what I wanted to do. But during that PhD, I'd met people that weren't necessarily good for me, and I let them get into my head, and I started to believe that I wasn't good enough at the things that I did, at the things that I made. And I started to doubt who I was and what I made. I just did not identify with my art anymore and my style. I had a very distinct style. They told me it wasn't good enough. They monitored my phone. It was a very horrible, toxic situation. If you're finding yourself in that situation, it is a bad one. Like, you don't need to doubt that. And in just a couple of months, I found myself unable to do the things that I felt I was good at. I couldn't concentrate, and eventually I just stopped sharing my art. And I lost followers, of course. I lost the opportunities. I was told that, you know, I wasn't going to go anywhere, so I ended things with my agent at the time, who was a lovely person and was very understanding, and I just needed some time to figure things out. But doing all of this, I really felt like a failure. I felt like I had missed this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of, I could be an artist, I could do my dream job. I didn't realise until very late, but I had failed. I couldn't do what I could do anymore. And I didn't think my art was good enough to share anymore. And that went on for years. And I think it's been about 5, 6, maybe 7 years now. And it's taken me a long time to realize that what I was told wasn't necessarily true. And there are so many reasons for that I won't go into. But I went in circles for years, and I tried to develop new styles, find new things that I'm interested in, and develop what I once had, but I don't think I can. And of course that made me feel like even more of a failure. So it's taken me several years to actually feel okay about what I do again, about sharing my art again. And recently I've started drawing far more often. I've been attending art classes. I've made new characters. I'm uploading more and more. And I've started to tell myself that even if this new embarking on this artistic journey, this new trial into trying to be an illustrator doesn't work out, it is still a success because I've found something that brings me joy, whether it's seen by thousands or not. And so I'm here. I'm currently a scientist, but part-time I work on these videos and I work on drawings of different things that I enjoy. And I look up to people like, for example, my favorite artist is Charlie Mackesy, who created The Boy, The Mole, The Fox and the Horse. And I look at his journey through his life and how many years it took him to actually create that one book that made him win an Oscar. It took him so long to get there, but if he didn't continue to do it, if he didn't do the things that he loved, he wouldn't have found this opportunity to develop these characters that really carry him through the page and into our minds. What I've learned is that a really successful thing takes forever to make, but it's worth it. And if you're doing something as brave as following your passions, you're gonna find something that you love along the way. I did that as a child. I did what I loved because creativity was my safe space and it brought me joy. And I didn't know that I was going to stumble upon this one time where I created this post, and I didn't know even that it was possible to become an illustrator. I never dreamt of it. I just did what I loved, and what I loved found me along the way. I think that's what we've got to do more of. You're worth trying and doing things that you find are your passion. Passions are supposed to be there to bring you love and hope and joy and a safe space. And I think something that we're learning quite recently as well from some of the best, most overnight successes of celebrities, for example, like Chappell Rowan right now, or Sabrina Carpenter, is that they're not actually overnight successes. They've been making things and they've been trying for years. And it's only through having faith inside of their dreams that they were able to accomplish this. And I'm a strong believer that each one of us has a story and has something really unique to bring to the world and to share with the world, because sharing something that you've put so much love into and so much care and thought into actually propels that love forward into other people. And boy, does this world need more love. And so I'm here and I'm saying that I failed, but I'm trying again, because the more you fail, the quicker you learn how to succeed as well. And honestly, the first person that should be believing in you is yourself, because you're absolutely worth it. Whatever it is that you have, whether it's art or music or your writing or your inventions, bring it to the world, because the world needs it. You don't know what it's going to turn into, and that's the beauty of it. None of us know what's going to happen next. So why not? Just follow your dreams, follow your passions, and eventually you'll find what you love. And that's where I'm going to leave this video. I'm sorry, it's not one of my traditional ones. I've been quite unwell this week, as you can tell. I've lost my voice, but this video is one that I've wanted to make for quite some time, and I thought, what better time than now? Good luck, and I wish you all the best. Bye.